This is the After Party, live with Kim McAllister. Pick a couch, grab a drink, and settle into the conversation.
There I am. Hey, everybody. It is the After Party Live here on Friday at the movies with Tim Sika in merely moments. But a couple things I wanted to say before we get to that, which is happy birthday to Vivian and to Judy. If you are here, I just wanted to celebrate that and take a moment to say happy birthday. And I'm thinking about you both. The YouTube super chats are open. We have the show PayPal, which is always open. So this show is crowdfunded. Thank you to anyone who takes a moment to help us. You can find the link in the show description as always. So thank you for that. And thank you for your patience. The Mark Thompson show just ended. And so it is time for us, because this is the big week. This is the week where a bunch of movies drop for the holiday weekend, and Tim Sika has his work cut out for him. It is At the Movies with Tim Sika. Welcome to it, Tim.
Hi, Kim. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. I've been busier than a beaver, watching all these movies. And, there's a lot more that are actually opening for the holidays in New York and LA, which aren't going to open here until January. So we've got, in the coming weeks, we're still going to have a lot of movies to talk about, a lot of awards considered movies to talk about, in addition to the ones we're going to talk about today.
I was just telling Michael Snyder that I watched that movie Carry On, which is on Netflix.
Right. How is that? I heard it was good.
Well, if you like that kind of Die Hard, holiday thriller, this one takes place at an airport. It's
you don't. You don't? Yeah.
I do. I mean,
oh, okay. Yeah.
Every Christmas Eve, while I'm wrapping presents, I fire up Die Hard, and sometimes I don't get through it, but I always at least try to watch it on Christmas. So that's kind of where I stand. And so did like Carry On. I thought it was a surprise. I didn't know exactly how it was going to be, and it was streaming on Netflix, and I have Netflix, so for me it was, I pay for the service, but free, so I don't have to pay anything extra for it. So and I liked it. So that's Carry On Netflix. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I heard it was good, but these days I only believe maybe a third of what I hear. So, but I did. I heard a lot of good things about it. Some of my colleagues liked it a lot, and you sounded like you liked it enough to check it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't get past Jason Bateman, who I know is a teen heartthrob, and I know
that's right. Yeah,
bad guy in the Ozarks, but he's the bad guy in this one too. And sometimes it's hard to wrap my head around. Bateman being the evil one.
Yeah. Although he can do sinister pretty well. There's been a couple of movies he's been in where he was really, really creepy. So
he's pretty heartless in this one. So.
Yeah, well.
Let's get to your movies that you're reviewing. And
The Brutalist. Yeah. I kind of wish I didn't have to talk about. Well, this first movie that we're going to talk about, it's getting lots of love from us critics. Okay. And I'm including myself in the part that's us critics. It's called The Brutalist. But to me, this was one of the most maddening and frustrating films I think I've seen all year, and very, very long. This movie is 3 hours and 35 minutes plus intermission. Now, I was raised on long movies. I'm old enough to remember that the tail end of all those roadshow film presentations of the late 60s with overture and reserved seats and intermission and exit music, epics and musicals my mother took me to. So I love long movies, and I was highly predisposed to loving this one because it was so long. I heard it was long. But I should also mention this one too, like those old roadshow presentations where you would go and you'd get a reserved seat, and there'd be an overture and intermission music and an intermission. So that's something folks thinking about seeing this movie will want to know. The movie was also shot, we're told, on film in VistaVision, which was a classic roadshow film presentation shot on 70 millimeter film. You know, one of the very best of the widescreen film processes. We don't have time to talk about that today. But anyway, so The Brutalist is the epic, and boy, is it epic, story of this guy named Laszlo Toth. He was a Hungarian-born Jewish architect. He's played by Adrian Brody, who survives the Holocaust, right? And he emigrates to the United States, where he kind of is, you know, after the American dream through his architecture and his art, about which he is totally uncompromising, until this wealthy client, a benefactor, if you will, kind of changes his life in all kinds of, well, in more ways than one, let's put it that way. And the movie's divided into two parts. Part one is called The Enigma of Arrival. And that was the first red flag for me when I was watching this movie for the first time. I saw it twice. I watched it twice. I actually watched it twice. And the second part is called The Hardcore of Beauty. And after having endured this film twice, I'm thinking, well, that's a bit pretentious. Those titles lent a weight to the film that I don't think was there. At least I couldn't discern any weight. And having to be told by those titles that the weight is there, you know, The Enigma of Arrival, The Hardcore of Beauty, well, to me, that spelled pretension. Anyway, as an achievement, I'm gonna concede this to my colleagues. As an achievement, given its budget, it's this sweeping pseudo-historical epic too. It's impressive, okay? Just the achievement is impressive, but dramatically and especially thematically, I thought it rang hollow. And after 3 hours and 35 minutes plus an intermission, wading through that kind of length, only to be basically told, literally to be told at the end, to all you artists out there, the message of the film is that it's not the journey that's important, it's the destination. And I'm going, that's a load of bull. I mean, considering the fact that I personally think the opposite is true. I think it's not about the destination. I think it's the journey that's important in life. And I'm going, what is this movie trying to tell me after all this? Anyway, acting is very good, especially Felicity Jones. She plays Adrian Brody's wife. Guy Pearce is in this too. He's very good too. He plays his employer. But the movie radiates an aura of importance about itself, just that quite frankly doesn't live up to itself. And in the end, despite the first half being reasonably interesting, the interminable second half, Kim, never delivered for me thematically. And to me, the film lived or died on its second act. And The Brutalist's second act was never thematically strong enough to justify its enormous runtime. You know, you know what, I can go on. I can't
believe you watched it twice.
Well, you know, professionally, I felt obligated. But, you know, if you have a good, here's the thing. Did I like it? Mostly no. But do I think it's worth seeing? I do. If you have a good half day to spend and want to determine for yourself what all the fuss is about, you should check it out. It's kind of worth seeing on that level. I just don't feel that length, ambition, and overall achievement per se, no matter how sincere, do necessarily a great or an even good movie make. So, wow, that was my wordy assessment of The Brutalist.
Are you recommending it?
Am I recommending it? I always struggle with this.
This is why I know
I didn't like it. So on that basis, I would say no. On the basis that it's getting all this like love from everybody, you know, I would say, well, that would entice me as just a regular moviegoer to think, well, I'm going to just go see it anyway to see what I think and see what all the fuss is about. But no, I don't recommend it. I can't believe I'm saying that. No, I don't. I just thought it was gaseous. It just was like, it was hollow. It was like epic achievement for the sake of like, look what we can do on so little a budget. But it didn't. I don't think it amounted to much. And really, I think it deserved to amount to something more, because it's a commitment saying, you know, here, you're going to sit here. not only for 3 hours and 35 minutes runtime, but thankfully there's an intermission, but that's an additional 10 minutes. So it's a half a work day to see this movie, you know? So
do you feel like this is going to be, regardless of your review, because other reviewers is it going to be like an Oscar contender? Like,
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it won. I think the New York Film Critics gave it best film, and I don't know. No, National Board of Review gave Wicked. It's hard to say. I do think that the Academy will acknowledge it in multiple categories. Yeah, Critics' Choice Association has already done that, but it ain't gonna get my vote, folks.
I don't like the poster.
Yeah, that's actually kind of like part of the opening scene. He's coming to Ellis Island. Main character is, and everything is like cockeyed. I don't know if he's laying on the floor of the boat. And the credits of this movie, they're like weirdly horizontal and diagonal, and I'm going, what the to me it was pretentious, and it was like, okay, so how does this? Anyway, I've already bitched enough about the Brutalist. It was, for me, it was brutal. It was brutal. Did Michael see it? Did Michael Snyder see it?
I think he liked it.
Yeah. Okay. Michael and I are going to have a talk about that offline.
Yeah. We're going to have a discussion.
Yeah.
Let's move to this one. It is called A Complete Unknown.
Yes, this was another one whose critical reaction is astounding me. The power of hype, Kim, these days, it's more powerful than it would appear. Considering the critical establishment's fawning embrace of this movie, too. Complete Unknown. It's a musical biopic, never the easiest of genres to successfully pull off. It's directed by James Mangold, and it covers the early life and career of Bob Dylan, folk singer and songwriter, portrayed here by the ubiquitous Timothée Chalamet, whose picture's in the poster there. And the story begins in 1961, when Dylan moved from Minnesota to New York to this concert he gave in 1965 at the Newport Folk Festival, which was controversial because at that concert he used electric instruments instead of what people expected of him, which was like his usual singing and playing acoustic guitar. Dylan was always controversial. He was always like changing his image, whatever. This was another one of those movies that people asked me, did I like it? And no, I did not like it. I did not. Look,
were you just in a bad mood this week?
No, I like everything else. I'm giving my hand away, but no. I mean, but is it worth seeing? Do I think it's worth seeing? Sure, if you're a Bob Dylan is your jam, and if you're a Timothée Chalamet fan. But all this movie really is Timothée Chalamet singing Bob Dylan tunes, a rundown of his hits. That's pretty much all it is. In addition to showing all of us just what an a-hole as a human being Dylan was. I think he was always an a-hole in his life, but and this is the thing, the film's success, because the script is like nothing, heavily relies on Chalamet's performance, which, I couldn't get past Timothée Chalamet. He's a very talented young man. He's a likable young man. He's a promisingly great actor, but I could not get past his persona in this. To me, his quote unquote acting was more of an impersonation than a performance. In other words, I just never believed he was Dylan. I kept seeing Timothée Chalamet doing maybe an SNL, better than SNL impersonation of Bob Dylan. In the same way, I couldn't believe him as a drug addict in that movie he was in, Beautiful Boy. His dialogue is half incomprehensible. He never goes beyond an actor's technique. And by that, I mean, we keep hearing about how he prepared for this role for 5 years. I think when he's performing, he clings too much to all that research. He never lets it go, and as a result, in my opinion, never really becomes the character he was heavily prepared to play. And I just attribute that to his youth. He's a very young man, and I don't think he's learned that lesson, the lesson being, and Meryl Streep will tell you this, Denzel Washington, all the great actors who've lived a full life of acting will say, there's a point in an actor's preparation where he or she has to forget about the research in order to quote unquote become the character. In my opinion, Chalamet never does, and as a result, his performance suffers. And I never believed he was Bob Dylan for a second. So did I like the film? No. Is it worth seeing? Yeah. I mean, if you're a Bob Dylan fan or a Timothy Chalamet fan, see it for yourself and tell me.
Recommended. That's what
I'm not recommending it. Oh boy, am I going to get in trouble for those two movies? But anyway,
we have a drop on the Mark Thompson show. Girl, baby girl, don't even play. And that's what this reminds me of.
Oh wow, okay. Well, here's the first
Baby Girl. Right?
Yeah, here's the first of the movies on our agenda this week that I did like.
Okay.
Very interesting, very provocative, sexy, kinky drama that takes a look at power dynamics and sexuality, the intersection of those two within a professional work environment, right? Work situation, with Nicole Kidman in a fearless performance, playing. When I watch Nicole Kidman or any actor who has to reveal so much of themselves on screen, that's why I think, man, there's no way I would ever become an actor. That's where I took acting in college. Maybe I took a couple semesters, but at the point where they make you or require you to do something like Nicole Kidman does in this movie, you either go with it or you just say, this ain't for me. Anyway, she's fearless. She plays a very high-ranking CEO who embarks on this fetishistic kink romance. It's not really a romance. It's more of a highly sexually charged affair with this young intern played by Harris Dickinson, who was like young enough to be her son, right? So given what this movie is about and what it dramatizes, it's kind of ironically twisted, kind of funny that it's literally opening in theaters on Christmas Day. I mean, what are they going to say? Take the wife to see Baby Girl. Take the woman in your life to see Baby Girl and see if your relationship, survives it. Yeah. Anyway, I found it to be a fascinating movie, even though it was uncomfortable. And it was uncomfortable because I don't think it's a spoiler. It's about giving and taking power in a dominant, submissive, sexual role-playing relationship, all of which is depicted in great and uncomfortable detail in this movie. Kidman is fantastic. Antonio Banderas plays her husband. He's terrific too. Harris Dickinson is the hot-to-trot intern. His role didn't require a whole lot of acting, except for his character to just be sensuous and attractive, and he did that well. But there's so much kicking around in this movie, Kim, about gender dynamics and power dynamics and the peculiarities of sex and sexual expression, that it's one of those ideal movies to see with a friend or whomever, and then talk about it afterwards. What is it that we just saw? Yeah, that's the kind of movie it was. That's the kind of movie I like, an intelligent movie that digs deep and dramatizes these ideas and these situations. So for those reasons alone, I really recommend this movie. Although, again, I don't know, it may be something you want to see by yourself. If you take your significant other, you may be blushing during the whole movie. I don't know. Anyway, I liked it. Baby Girl. Yeah.
Nicole Kidman is having a good year. She did the series Perfect Couple. She's been in some good things lately. Yeah,
I liked her in The Perfect Couple. Yeah, she's very prolific these days. Yeah, she's probably just taking all she can get, because for women of a certain age in Hollywood, I'm except for Meryl Streep, it's hard to stay current. It's hard to get the roles, but Kidman is doing it. She's doing a bang-up job. She's crushing everything she's doing.
You know what else she's in is Lioness.
Yes.
Streaming series.
Yeah. Which, have you seen it? I haven't seen it.
I have seen it, yeah.
Is it good?
It is good. It's kind of a military drama where there's a lot of action and thrilling and also some political dynamics going on. So it's interesting. I like it.
Yeah. Oh, cool. I'll have to check that out too. Put that one on the list. Yeah.
This one is interesting. Nosferatu. Did I say it right?
Yeah, Nosferatu. Yes, my first reaction when I heard about this reimagining yet another one of the Dracula myth was like, oh, really? Why? Do we really need another one? I mean, there have been so many Dracula vampire movies. Yeah. There was the original, the 1922 silent film of the same name, Nosferatu. Then there was that 1932 Danish sound version called Vampire, which was great. The very famous 1931 Dracula, starring Bela Lugosi, Francis Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula, starring Gary Oldman. The list is endless, and the iterations numbering in the dozens. So I thought, why? You know, what are they going to do? But the fact that it was being directed by this guy, his name is Robert Eggers, the man who made The Witch. I don't know if you've seen any of his movies, The Lighthouse and The Northman. He's a very, very interesting director. And so that gave me some pause. And I thought, well, okay, this is a guy who knows how to disturb his audience and unnerve his audience with this kind of blend of horror and folkloric and mythological elements. So I thought, okay, I'm game. And I was not disappointed at all. Oh. I mean, I've seen all the Dracula movies, and this one was elegant. It was an elegant rendering of the Dracula vampire mythology, if you can call a horror movie elegant, as there has ever been. It's beautifully mounted. It's sinisterly creepy. It's literate. It's slow moving, but cumulatively, it's very powerful. If there's beauty, you know, in the horrific, if there's beauty to be found in ugliness, this new Nosferatu captures it, and it captures it in a dreamlike, nightmarish kind of way that's just unnervingly riveting. And I think where this new iteration of the Dracula tale, he's called Count Orlok here in Nosferatu, you know, he just, you know, bites everybody's neck and sucks their blood, and then they become his slave. He's played here by Bill Skarsgård. I think if where it excels is in its particular, I don't know if it's a tribute to or a celebration of what the characters in the film refer to as the occult or the mystic arts. Thematically, this is the richest, arguably, of all of the Dracula movies, I think, because for one, it's the first version that presents the vampire entering souls through a human connection between two people, in this case, a married couple. I found that very, very interesting, played by Nicholas Hoult and Lily Rose Depp, Johnny Depp's daughter, who's a very fine actress. She's terrific in this, and so is Nicholas Hoult. And the movie wrestles with, oh God, existential questions like, you know, does evil come from within or within us or from beyond? You know, if we're going to tame the darkness within and without, we first have to face that it actually exists. So we can't be like in denial about that. Sure. So yeah, for those looking for a classy and rich horror movie for the holiday season, you can't get much better than Nosferatu. I loved it. I really, really love this one. So yeah.
Loved it, and you recommend.
Yeah, Nosferatu, yeah.
But this is definitely a horror movie.
Definitely a horror movie. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and it has its share of gore, although it's very artistically done. It's gross, but I don't know. It's beautiful. Like I said, it's like it's like it's beautiful. It's beautiful in its ugliness. This movie. I don't know how else to describe it.
You have me intrigued, but I'm still not watching it.
Yeah. Visually, I bet Nikki would love this one.
Oh, she would totally take it.
Nikki, if you're listening, go see Nosferatu. Don't take the kids. Yeah, don't take the kids.
The next one is called Better Man.
Yeah, this is another musical biopic about British pop star, singer, songwriter Robbie Williams. Do you know who Robbie Williams is?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I kind of sort of did, but I realized I really didn't after I watched this movie. Anyway, Kim, the gimmick, if you will, behind this movie, is that Robbie Williams is portrayed, they give it away in the poster, as a CGI animated chimpanzee. Because as he once put it, he said he always felt less evolved than other people. So you wouldn't think that this movie would work depending so heavily as it does on that gimmick of portraying the main character as a monkey, but it does. It's so this was so entertaining, so exhilarating, a musical biography, the whole experience of watching this movie was overwhelming in the best sense, because you kept saying, where are they going with this? What are they doing? So you get invested really early on in this story, and not only in the story, but in the way that it was told, because I mean, it was astonishing in how it managed to evoke such strong emotion while simultaneously being so dependent upon the gimmick of Robbie being played by an actor, John O'Davis in this case, as a monkey. And that was the great strength of this movie. It's stylistically dazzling, but it never loses sight of wanting to take hold of you and grabbing you emotionally. And movies that are this dependent on CGI rarely go to the emotional depths that this movie did, at least for me. And, you know, the movie itself explores universal themes like love and love of self and struggle and artistic ambition and triumph. And, you know, Kim, so many movies have dramatized characters seeking fame. But this is the first movie I've seen that indirectly offers a simple explanation as to why anyone would ever seek fame. I could never really understand why anybody would want to be famous until I saw this movie, because I get it in that it's like the movie sort of presents it's like, well, why would anyone want, you know, well, fill in the blank. Why would anyone want anything for that matter? And it's because it's simply what is wanted, and what is desired is hopefully some kind of stepping stone to maybe going to something deeper. Because, you know, you always hear people say, I wanted fame, but when I got fame, I still wasn't happy. I wanted all the money. When I got the money, I wasn't happy. This movie dramatizes that in a way I've never seen done in a movie before. So I liked it. It was different, which also gets props in my book. It took some big swings artistically, and it makes you want to learn more about its subject, Robbie Williams, you know, who's not so well known. He's not as well known in the States as he is. He's massively popular and a huge star in Europe. So I kind of learned a lot about Robbie Williams too. So I recommend Bitter Man. It's among other things the most original musical biopic I've seen and perhaps will ever see, and it kind of practically reinvents the genre. Yeah, It's very, very different.
It does sound. It sounds a little weird.
It is a little weird, and you know, when you watch when you watch the trailer, you go, "This looks like a joke," but it's anything but a joke. It's a terrific movie. Yeah.
Okay, that's Better Man. This is The Fire Inside.
Yes, and if you want, I mean, okay, we're going to put weird aside now. If you want a good boilerplate, old-fashioned Rocky Balboa type of drama, The Fire Inside is going to be your holiday cup of tea.
All right.
And boy, are we ever into the biopics this holiday season. And this is yet another, but this one's based on a true story, only this one's a sports biography about this American professional boxer. Never heard of her, learned a lot about her in this movie, Clarissa Shields. She was from Flint, Michigan, and it's about her training for the 2012 Summer Olympics. Last week, we talked about Day of the Fight, which was also a boxing drama. But what's interesting about this one is that it's based on a real person who was the first woman to ever win an Olympic gold medal in that sport. I mean, she made history, but who was also unable to, after her win, she was unable to obtain any endorsements for that win due to the fact that, well, to put it plainly, there was no money in the boxing industry for women in boxing. So despite her historic achievement, she was still, you know, as poor as a pauper when all this was done. She came from a poor background. What's that?
You would think that you would, you know, win the Olympics and be celebrated and get endorsement deals and your life would change forever. And you hit the accomplishment and you go back to the same old life.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's a lot of what this movie is about too. And it's pretty boilerplate. You know, it's not going to figure in any top 10 lists, I suspect, but it's still a solid sports biopic, albeit, you know, you can predict in a lot of instances the exact words that are going to come out of the mouths of these characters, because I've seen a lot of movies like this, but it delivers. It's effective, what it sets out to do. And it's also a really touching story about overcoming your roots, and an equally moving depiction of the relationship of this coach and the young female boxer he's preparing for the Olympics. I like that, particularly about this movie, was how the relationship between this lady's coach and her training was depicted. It was really, really, really touching and really moving. And I like the movie. I think it's a solid sports biopic, and I recommend it.
Your streaming recommendation for this week is called A Man on the Inside.
Yes, for those seeking the upbeat, A Man on the Inside. Yeah, I stumbled across this. Yeah, this is a wise and funny and very touching Netflix series. It's 8 episodes with the wacky premise of, Ted Danson stars in it, and he's awesomely good here. And he plays this widower. That's him in the poster. And he's a retired engineering college professor who's his wife has died, and he doesn't know what to do with his life. So he takes a job as an investigative assistant for a private detective to go undercover at a retirement community, Pacific View retirement community, in fact, in San Francisco, in order to find a missing ruby necklace that was presumably stolen by someone living in this retirement community. And and so, thus sets the stage for some really funny observational moments and scenes about aging and death and friendship and love. And arguably, I think this is one of the best Netflix comedy series I think I may have ever watched. But full disclosure, now I haven't seen all that many. But this one grabbed me in a lot of good ways. It makes a powerful statement about the role that denial plays in our lives, especially as we age. That really hit me in an interesting way. The other thing I loved about this series, Kim, is that the lion's share of it was shot in San Francisco. And so the series is like overflowing with all these San Francisco landmarks and historical sites like the Fairmont Hotel and, the Palace of Fine Arts and the Golden Gate Bridge and California Street and Alcatraz and Oracle Park. It opens with behind great cathedrals in the background. So anyway, if for anybody seeking the upbeat and the wise, this holiday season, I cannot recommend A Man on the Inside enough. It's an easy binge. You can do the first season in a morning or afternoon. And I just read that it's being renewed for a second season.
I was just going to tell you that. Yeah. Second season. So.
And Sally Struthers is in this too. Gloria and all this. She's wonderful as one of the retirement community's residents. She's kind of like she hasn't. Let's just say she hasn't lost her urge for sex.
Oh, so I heard that's big in retirement homes. Sometimes they all that's the same venereal disease because
that's one of the things that comes across in this. It's like a lot of elderly people never lose that urge. It's very, very funny. I love this show. I was going to watch it in segments. I watched it in one shot. I think it was like watching a 3.5 hour movie. They're like under half. Yeah, I binged it. I actually binged it. I loved it. It was wonderful. It was a nice surprise. Yeah.
I think that's why movies are getting longer, because people are getting more used to sitting for a long period of time and consuming a whole series like this. So then a 3-hour movie doesn't seem like much.
Yeah, I guess the difference is you can when you're watching at home, you can pause, you can go for a sandwich, you can go to the bathroom. With The Brutalist, you got to sit there. You got to sit there. But it was interesting because I thought, well, how did I get through this so fast? And I realized, there's 8 episodes, and most of them are they're around 26, 27 minutes. So do the math, and that's about 3 hours and 45 minutes. So it's so entertaining. It's so funny. It's so sweet.
Give it a watch because I've got Netflix, so why not? S.J. Lola says, I recently discovered I'm distantly related to Ted Danson.
Wow. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Can you get me an interview with him? No, I'm teasing.
Another comment coming in from Okayest Mama Ever, who writes, is it just me, or is there a lot of movies with older women in relationships with younger men? She says it's giving me the creeps.
Yeah, there are. We've talked about a number of them. Some of the titles I'm spacing on right now, but those other ones, I don't know. They were sort of like, I don't know. They're just sort of like, what's that movie? 50 Shades of Grey fantasy kind of movies. This baby girl movie, it's nobody's fooling around in this movie, and it's way deep, and it's a different kind of movie. But yes, there have been a number of those this year, at least 3 or 4 that I can think of.
It seems like it. And then John writes, Timothy Chalamet will star in the Luigi Mangione biopic a few years from now.
Right? Yeah, he's been appearing on talk shows and stuff. He's sporting this mustache.
Yeah.
Which he really shouldn't be. I mean, it looks like he can't even grow a mustache. I don't know. You'd think that they would have given him something fuller. Yeah, I guess it's part of the character he's playing. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I like Timothy Chalamet. As a person, he's just a great guy too. But he's young. A lot has happened to him in the short years he's been making movies. He's only 28 years old. I think when he's 35, 40. He's going to be like the next, I don't know, Tom Hanks or Denzel Washington. I think he's got that kind of talent.
It seems kind of weird to me. That he's kind of a weird guy.
You know what? A lot of women tell me that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
He gives me the weird vibe.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. I don't know what to say about that.
The Tim Sika classic movie recommendation of the week is holiday related. It is Miracle on 34th Street.
Yeah, given that it's the holiday season, this is a classic if there ever was one. John Rothman and I have waxed rhapsodic about this movie many times during the many times I spent with him on the radio, during the holiday seasons. He and I think the same about this movie and what it's about. It's about this eccentric department store Santa Claus, played by Edmund Gwenn, who won an Academy Award for his performance, who actually believes that he's the real Santa Claus. That's him. Oh, God. Yeah, he's the best Santa Claus ever. And the movie is about how that belief affects the Macy's event planner, played by Maureen O'Hara, who hires him to play Santa Claus, how that belief affects her. She's quite cynical. And her equally cynical daughter, played by a very young and very adorable Natalie Wood, is in both of those pictures. Natalie Wood is so adorable in this movie. And it's amazing how she was so good in this movie and how she managed to transition into adult roles too. But anyway, this is one of the sweetest, warmest, wittiest, smartest comedies about faith and belief and the true meaning of Christmas. I cannot recommend it enough. It won 3 Oscars, 1 for Gwen and 2 additional Oscars for its writing. And I would wager nobody I would recommend this movie to would, well, at minimum, find it a waste of their time. I think they would love it. It's in the National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. I believe it received that designation in 2005 for preservation. So it's, it's in that league now, and it's just wonderful. It's a perfect holiday movie. I think it's currently streaming on AMC Plus and probably a lot of other streaming services as well. I think it was on a couple of my other ones I just noticed, but I've seen it so many times. It's so entertaining. And Edmund Gwenn is like the perfect personification of Santa Claus. And he rolls with this role. He's just so great. And the movie just gives you the warm and fuzzies and puts you in the Christmas spirit. And it's great. I loved it. And I think people who haven't seen it will love it too.
This is a movie that's on in my house at least twice during the holiday season. I'll walk out to the family room and my husband will have it playing and the kids are watching. And it's one of these movies where I think a lot of times kids turn their noses up at old movies. Not my
black and white. You know why? Black and white.
Yeah, but not this one. Yeah. They will watch it and no one bats an eyelash that it's in black and white or that it's old. The story takes over. And so, this is one of those movies that I think is timeless.
Yes, I agree with you completely. You said it very well.
Yeah, good one. I'm so glad you picked it. Again, this is Miracle on 34th Street, and there is the old movie poster.
Yeah, the old one. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I know I'm keeping you over time, but we'll go ahead and do a quick rundown. To recap it, you said The Brutalist. It's a long 3.5-hour movie, epic but pretentious, impressive, but it was hollow, rang hollow to you. You said
Mm.
it's good acting, but it's a self-important movie. The second half just never delivers. You did not like it, and you cannot recommend it. You called it gaseous. Gaseous.
Did I really? Oh,
Full
yes,
of
I guess
gas.
I did.
Gaseous. Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, I'm never going to live this down, Kim.
They're
You
not
know,
gonna
this is
put that on the back of the box. Nope.
no,
Mm-mm.
no, no.
A complete unknown. You said you did not like this movie. You said it's worth seeing if you're a Bob Dylan fan or you like Timothy Chalamet, but the script isn't much, so it relies on Chalamet. And you said he does more of an impersonation than a performance. You don't buy him as the character. You do not recommend A Complete Unknown.
Yeah.
Baby girl. It's a holiday movie for everyone. Not. You say it's provocative and kinky, fascinating and uncomfortable. You recommend this, what you called an intelligent movie that really digs deep. And you really recommended Baby Girl, but for the grown-ups in the crowd.
For the grown-ups, yes.
Uh-huh. Nosferatu. A lot of people talking about this in the chat, saying Nosferatu was the original vampire movie. You say this is elegant, unnervingly riveting. They would put that on the back of the box. You loved it. You recommend this horror movie, Nosferatu.
Yes.
A better man. A better man, you thought it was a joke, but it wasn't, and it works. You said it's entertaining, you said it's exhilarating, you said it brings out strong emotions despite the whole gimmick of the monkey thing, and it answers some questions about fame that you'd always wondered about. You liked it, it's really different, and you recommend Better Man. The Fire Inside. You also liked this one. You said it's a solid sports biopic, but this one delivers. You said it's effective, a touching story. You recommend A Fire Inside. The Fire Inside. As opposed to A Man on the Inside, which is your streaming recommendation for this week. You said it's funny, it's touching, it's a great Netflix comedy series, and it's fun that it's shot in San Francisco as well. It's just been renewed for a second season. So while you can watch the first one before the second one comes out. And your classic movie recommendation is Miracle on 34th Street. You can't recommend this one enough. You say it is wonderful and a perfect holiday movie.
Yes. And Kim, thank you for letting me stay on this long. I don't think I've
Always.
talked. I don't think I've talked this much, and I don't remember when. Maybe the last time I was with Pat Thurston on KGO when we would do, but I don't think we got in this much time. So anyway, thank you, Ollie. Thank you for having me. And thank you for letting me go on and on about these movies.
Of course. Happy holidays to you.
You too, and the family. Yeah.
Yeah. Same to you. And thank you for being here. And I'm so grateful.
Well, I am too, Kim, and thank you for having me. And yeah, we'll talk soon. We're not going to do that. Are we doing next week? Isn't next week? Or are we doing next week? Are you going to be on next Friday?
I am next Friday. Hold on, I'm looking at the calendar. Next Friday, I believe, is the 27th, and I will be in a car on the way to Oregon. But I will be doing a show on earlier in the week, and we can always record something if you want to. So
okay, yeah, I'll check in with you, and we'll see what we can come up with for that. Okay, great. All right. Well, thanks, Kim. Happy Merry Christmas to you. Happy holidays, and we'll talk to you soon.
Happy holidays to you too. Bye, Tim Sika.
Bye, Kim McAllister.
At the Movies with Tim Sika. Loved it. Loved it. This segment just brings me such great joy. I hope you like it as much as I do. Let's go to the chat, see what you guys have to say. Liz says, thanks, Tim. Gordon says, bye-bye. Have a good Christmas, Tim Sika. Take the day off, Kim. Absolutely. Happy holidays. A lot of people wishing Tim Sika happy holidays. And yeah, so I'm glad you guys are liking it too. A Man on the Inside is terrific, says Ren. So she's agreeing with Tim on that one. It looks like the Rhonda says, when my kids were young, we used to have classics time for movies. What a great idea. They always groaned, but never hated. That's great. I love that idea. So good. John wonders why young people don't like black and white. I remember being a kid and I just really wanted to watch animated things. There was a certain chunk of time, and then I got past it and I didn't want to watch animated things. So I just feel like they get used to seeing something and that's what they're used to and that's what they gravitate toward. I don't know. Yeah. The courtroom scene was classic, says Kurt, talking about the miracle on 34th Street. Yeah. So a lot of good stuff. You guys having a great conversation in the chat. So, um, looking at what else you guys are saying about movies. Mm, Gary Oldman was my favorite Dracula, says Nola Fidian. Rhonda says older men with younger women in movies all the time. Yeah, creeps me out, she says. And Zoe Saldana is outstanding in Lioness. Also, her husband, their dynamic is super interesting to me. Yeah, to me too. I think that kind of makes it more interesting, that show, The Lioness, which I forget what network that is streams on. It might be Paramount Plus, or Max, but it's really good. All right. Well, enough about movies because I know the show has gone way over, but I do want to get in the one story that I had with the picture on the show. So that is a story about immortality. And here's the question for you. Would you want to live forever? Is that something that's even appealing to you? Because, nobody wants to die. But on the other hand, do you really want to live and live and live and then live some more? There's a man who makes these predictions, these scientific predictions, and he's weirdly been very accurate. All right. I will talk a little bit more about that. But he's a futurist, and he's predicting that human immortality will be achievable by the year 2030. So what, 5 years away? First of all, I'm not sure if I'm buying it. He's a computer scientist and futurist. His name is Ray Kurzweil. And he's setting these timelines for when humanity will achieve immortality and when artificial intelligence will achieve singularity. And so we don't have very much time to hold off until we can live forever. And here's where he's been successful. All right. In 1990, he predicted that a computer would beat a human world chess champion by the year 2000. Check mark. Got that. The rise of portable computers and smartphones. Okay. The shift to more wireless technology. Check mark on that. Foreseeing the explosion of the internet before it was obvious to everyone else. Check mark. He got that. In 2010, he did this look at his own predictions from 20 years ago to see how they were faring. He says he made 147 predictions in his role as a futurist. In 1990, about the years leading up to 2010. Of those 147, 115 of them turned out to be entirely correct. 12 were essentially correct. 3, no go, entirely wrong. So out of the 147, only 3 of them, he says, according to his own analysis of his work, were wrong. He predicted self-driving cars would be in use by 2009. That did not happen. He is now saying 2029 is the consistent date he's predicting for when AI will pass a valid Turing test and achieve human levels of intelligence. He says he set the date as 2045 for singularity, which is when we multiply our intelligence a billion-fold by merging with the intelligence that we have created. Creepy, but that's when he says it'll happen. All right, that's 2045. Now, looking at immortality, he says by the year 2030, we will be able to advance human life expectancy by more than 1 year every year. And part of this, he says, is progress toward the singularity 15 years later, that we're going to see nanobots flowing through our bloodstream. How Star Trekian is that? Making repairs, linking our brain up to the cloud. And when this happens, he says, we'll be able to send videos or emails that you want to think about the more dull aspects of being a cyborg directly from our brains, as well as backing up our memories. So forget something, don't worry about it. It's all backed up. You can go back and access your memories. He said, we're going to be funnier. We're going to be sexier. We're going to be better at expressing loving sentiment. He said that in 2015. Okay. He said, if I want to access 10,000 computers for 2 seconds, I can do that wirelessly. And my computational power multiplies itself in the cloud 10,000 fold. That is what we're going to do with our neocortex. Okay. So, immortality. Are we ready for this? Adding a year every year seems good. That maybe I'd live to 86 instead of 85 or 92 instead of 91. But living forever, I don't. If everyone else lived forever, sure changes the way we save for retirement. I mean, I don't know if I have enough saved to live this long life. I might have to check out earlier than that. I don't know. What do you guys think of immortality? I'm all for advances in medical health. Ren says, but no healthcare and no vaccines. Has he taken all this into account? Yeah, maybe he hasn't taken RFK Jr. into account. Rev P says, no, this is only for Elon and friends. That's exactly right. At the beginning, at least. Murphy says, honestly, very few people and families can afford immortality. It would be such a burden. If you had longevity in such a way that you were not a burden, that you didn't have to, your memories were all backed up. So I guess maybe we've conquered dementia. We've conquered some of these diseases. Maybe we get your bones working and your eyes working and your ears working again so that your old age is kind of more like your 50s and 60s. I don't know. I don't know. If your golden years, your extended golden years could be a better quality of life rather than sitting around in a wheelchair just waiting to kick the bucket, as you can't see and you can't hear and your memory's going and your speech is going and you can't feed yourself and all these things that go with old age. And I'm not saying there's not quality of life and that there's not good things about life, but if scientists could make your quality of life better, then maybe you wouldn't be a burden, and then maybe would you want to do it? Live long? Nullifidian says, I'm going to live forever or die trying. There you go. Mo says, can I get body replacements? You would need to. They would have to come up with better situations, better, more effective ways of replacing hips and knees where you weren't sore all the time, right? Ren says, remember the freezing of the head idea so that you could be brought back by putting the head on a different body? Yeah, it didn't work. Murphy says, even with money, I still would not want immortality. I think you get to a point. I don't know. I've not been to this point. We did a story, was it yesterday, about this lady who's 106 years old, still sharp. She's got her humor intact. She's got her memory mostly intact. She loves to drink her Fireball, 106 years old. And, she can't walk as well anymore, but she's still enjoying life. Although, I think there might be a point at which you're just done and you want to pass the torch to the next generation and you're ready to go. I don't know if you're healthy, if doctors find a way to improve your quality of life, maybe that feeling of being done gets pushed back. I don't know. I mean, it'll be interesting. I couldn't see wanting immortality if the rest of humanity didn't have it too. I don't want to outlive my children. I don't know. It's an interesting concept. Rhonda says, I think people would get bored. Not this again. Remember when we saw this in 1982? John says, if everyone starts living forever, you could not allow many children born or else there would be standing room only. I thought we had a decreasing population. Doesn't Elon Musk say it's our duty to have pop out as many kids as possible? Rev says overpopulation would be crazy. We'd have to go to Mars for real then. Absolutely, we would. Murphy says, I traveled in my 20s. Now I like to stay home. I don't need to do that forever. No. And Kurt says the only way we can achieve immortality is to stop degrading the nutritional value of our crops with GMO and then pumping them with high fructose corn syrup to make it edible. Now we have to change some things, although maybe we can eat as poorly as we want to, pump our bodies up with Ozempic, and the researchers will be able to come in, clear out all the bad stuff in our body, and we'll be able to start doing it all over again. Teacher Lori says, if they make those healing nanobots and bionic parts, maybe, and get me some of that Elon money, yeah, Teacher Lori, be good to go. John wouldn't mind living forever if I had a spaceship that could travel the universe so I could see everything. Nice. I'm going to need my Social Security, says Ren. I wonder if the number of people, writes Murphy, who want immortality is higher among white men. Why live forever with decreasing rights and autonomy? Yeah, that's a no-go, right? We got to change that. Although we'd have more time to change things. Rev wants to know the secrets of the universe. Then I can go. Mo says year to year, human population getting smaller. And remember we talked about it on the after party. They have such a declining population in Japan that they're going to a 4-day work week. They're trying to give people more time to do and get the babies made. Nanobots would be great, says Gordon. Nolophidian says, if we could live forever, we could finally populate the galaxy. Kurt says, people lived way past 100 in the pre-industrial age. I don't know if that's true. I thought they didn't. I thought that people died young. But maybe you're right. I don't know. I haven't done the research on that one. Well, that is the After Party Live for today. I don't want to keep you guys. I know you have your holiday things that you got to do and getting ready for the big weekend ahead. I will be back along with Mark Thompson on Monday. So I will see you then. For those of you that are going to the Mark Thompson Show meetup tomorrow, I will see you then as well. But I hope you have a really great weekend. And I know a lot of people are going on vacation. So if I don't see you here on the after party, have a great holiday. Again, happy birthday to Vivian and to Judy, and happy holiday, whatever you celebrate. I hope it's a really, really good one for you and your family. And again, thank you to everyone who's contributing to the show. You guys have made it a very Merry Christmas here on the after party and allowing the show to continue. So huge thank you, not only to folks that contribute to this show. Some people contribute to all three, the Nikki Maduro Show, the Mark Thompson Show as well. So really appreciate that very much. All right, you guys, have a great rest of your day. Make it a good one, and I'll see you back here on Monday. But for now, bye-bye. I have it. It's coming. Here it is.
The After Party Live would like to thank the following contributors and viewers like you.
I'm with you, Mama. Wish me luck too. I'm with you in spirit.